This is Spiral Psychon Presents, and today we'll be talking about melatonin. So, what is melatonin? Melatonin is a natural hormone or a chemical messenger that your body produces in its mitochondria as well as in a small region of the brain called the pineal gland. Your body releases melatonin in response to darkness, which is why levels rise around your usual bedtime. Most people know melatonin for its role in helping regulate sleep in your internal body clock, also known as your circadian rhythm, but it does much more than that. Melatonin also acts as an antioxidant and can influence things like blood flow and blood sugar, which are important in your overall health. In this video, we'll be focusing mostly on melatonin made in the brain and how it helps guide your sleep-wake cycle. There are a number of different things that actually affect melatonin production. One key factor is age, as children produce higher levels of melatonin than adults, and melatonin production gradually declines as people grow older. Melatonin levels can also vary with seasonal changes in light exposure. In the northern hemisphere, where we're not located on the equator, daylight hours shift throughout the year. So, as you can see in this graph, during the winter months, nights are longer and overall light exposure is reduced. As a result, the body produces more melatonin during this season, and the duration of melatonin release is extended. This means that melatonin production begins earlier in the day compared to summer. Another major factor that can affect melatonin production is both day and nighttime light exposure. This is because light plays a powerful role in signaling the brain when to start or stop producing melatonin. Therefore, when your melatonin levels are beginning to rise near bedtime, exposure to bright light can actually pause or reduce melatonin production. Before discussing if melatonin supplements can help you sleep, I would like to review a few cautionaries and state that I am not a medical provider and you should always talk to your doctor for personalized medical advice. Melatonin can interact with certain medications or other supplements you might be taking. Additionally, it may influence things like blood flow or the immune system. This can be especially important for people with autoimmune conditions, people who are immunosuppressed, or anyone undergoing treatments like chemotherapy. In some cases, melatonin supplements could potentially make these conditions worse, which is why professional guidance is important. Another thing to keep in mind is dosage. The amount of melatonin in many supplements is much higher than what your body normally produces. A typical bottle might list 1 milligram or 5 milligrams. And while that doesn't sound like much, that can be 4 to 17 times higher than your natural nighttime melatonin levels. In the graph on the right, please notice the significant difference between levels. Finally, be aware that melatonin supplements don't always contain the exact amount of melatonin listed on the label. This happens because, unlike prescription medications, supplements aren't strictly regulated. That means legally, companies don't always have to prove that the dose inside the bottle matches what they claim. As a result, the amount of melatonin in a single pill can be up to 4 times higher than what the label says. Going back to the question, can melatonin supplements help you sleep? The short answer is that it depends. Melatonin supplements can be very helpful for certain groups, such as people with specific sleep disorders, people who are blind, shift workers, or anyone dealing with jet lag because it can support the body's circadian rhythm, which has been dysregulated in these cases. However, timing is crucial for melatonin to work effectively. It should be taken 30 minutes to 1 hour before your usual or intended bedtime. Another timing factor to consider is when you take melatonin relative to meals. Taking it too close to dinner or your last meal of the day can affect how your body handles sugar. Lastly, it's important to limit bright light exposure, especially blue light from screens, near the time you take melatonin. This is because light signals your brain to stay awake and will reduce the supplement's effectiveness. So, let's first look at an example of how light at night can suppress melatonin. In the bottom left corner, we have a sample graph showing typical melatonin levels around someone's habitual bedtime. The dotted line represents low daylight levels, and the thick black line shows how melatonin normally rises in the evening, stays high during sleep, and then drops again towards morning as you wake up. Now, imagine that instead of going to bed around 10 or 11 p.m. when melatonin is peaking, you're on your computer and you're getting a lot of light from the screen. That light tells your brain to pause melatonin production. So instead of following the normal black curve, Melatonin levels look more like the blue line on the graph, where melatonin levels are being pushed back down. Melatonin production stays suppressed until the light is removed and you're back in darkness, at which point melatonin can finally rebound and start rising again before morning. Overall, this reduces the height of the nightly melatonin peak, what we call the amplitude, and it may shift the melatonin rhythm later in the following days. Daylight can have the opposite positive effect on melatonin production. Using the same graph on the right, you can see that if you get plenty of bright light during the day by spending time outdoors or sitting near a sunny window, your nighttime melatonin levels can actually become stronger. With more daytime light exposure, melatonin may rise earlier in the evening and reach a higher peak during sleep. As hinted in the previous slide, there are several natural ways to boost your melatonin levels and improve your sleep. One of the most effective strategies is getting more light exposure during the day by spending times outdoors or even sitting near a bright window. Another helpful strategy is keeping a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, including weekends, helps your body maintain a steady rhythm, which can naturally improve your melatonin release. Although research is still ongoing in this area, some studies suggest that diet may play a role as well. For example, eating complex carbohydrates and foods involved in melatonin production, like vegetables, whole grains, and beans, may help your body synthesize it more effectively. There are also many ways to improve sleep overall. For example, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is considered a gold standard treatment for people who have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep and helps to retain your brain to sleep without using medication. Increasing your daytime physical activity can also lead to better sleep quality by helping your body wind down at night. Just keep in mind that exercising too close to bedtime can make it harder to fall asleep. Finally, your sleep environment is a big part of achieving healthy sleep, and having a bedroom that is cool, dark, quiet, and safe is important. Even small changes like using blackout curtains or an eye mask to reduce light or using earplugs or white noise to manage sound can make a big difference. These are just a few practical ways to help support melatonin naturally and improve your sleep. Ultimately, it's important to remember that our bodies are designed to regulate sleep naturally through the hormone melatonin. The production of this hormone is influenced by age, seasonal changes, as well as overall light exposure. Bright light during the day can help support your sleep wake cycle, while bright light exposure at night, especially from screens, can suppress melatonin and make it harder to fall asleep. Melatonin supplements can be helpful for some people, but they should be used with caution. We are not medical professionals and recommend you speak with your doctor if interested in taking a melatonin supplement or if you have any other questions or concerns about your sleep health. If you choose to take a melatonin supplement, we also advise caution when it comes to dosage. Supplements typically contain 1 to 5 milligrams, which is significantly more than what your body naturally produces. Additionally, supplements are not regulated the same way medications are. So, actual pill content can be up to 4 times higher than what the label claims. It's also important to remember that the timing of melatonin supplements matters, and they should be taken as close to bedtime as possible. Lastly, supplements aren't the only option. Supporting natural melatonin production through consistent sleep schedules, reducing nighttime light, and getting enough daylight can be an effective way to improve sleep. Thank you for watching. I hope this presentation provided helpful insight into how melatonin affects sleep and how you can support healthy sleep habits. If you're looking for more information on any of these topics, please check out our references here or take a look at the description below where we've included several helpful links. Thank you.